experiment, the 100-person project. I'm Bill Carell, and this is my investigation. This is my research project to gather data from 100 beautiful human beings for the sole purpose to see what actually happens across the interviews. Now, the questions are fixed, and all the interviews will remain consistent, with the variable being the actual participants themselves and your answers. So it's as if I'm having you, Kim, come sit on my porch to share your thoughts so I can learn about people. We're looking forward to what we're going to know or learn when we're done with all this. But in the meantime, we're interested in you, the process, and well, you go ahead and introduce yourself. What is your full name?
My full name is Kimberly Ann Kasparian Perez.
Wonderful. That's great. Uh, so tell me a little bit about that.
The Kimberly part, the Ann, the Kasparian, or the Perez?
All of the above.
Okay. Kimberly, I wish I had my sister has a much better story about her name. But my mother saw the name Kimberly on a sign, on a business sign when they were living in the Bronx. That's where I was born, in the Bronx. Kimberly Knits Company. So my mother saw Kimberly Knits, the yarn company, and said, I like that. That's going to be her name. Anne is named after my grandmother, Anna.
Yep.
And Kasparian, if you know what the IAN means, it definitely means I'm Armenian.
Everyone I've ever met.
All right. And for that reason, I'm known as Kimberly Kasparian professionally and to keep the Armenian heritage visible. But I'm also married, and I'm married to a Perez. So we've decided to make him Armenian, so like we call him a Perezian.
I gotcha. And not Perezarian.
Yeah, right.
I like it. So, Kimberly, what is your favorite nickname that most people don't know?
Most people don't know. Everyone has their own nickname for me. I accept them all. But my favorite nickname for me is Kim Possible.
Impossible. I think that's fantastic. Let's hear a little bit more about that. Who gave you that moniker, and what does it mean to you, and what did it mean to whoever that was? Or did you give it to yourself?
Well, no, I never give it any. Honestly, all my nicknames, even the Success Genie, was bestowed upon me, or I was accepted from outside. Kim Possible, from my recollection, was in my 30s, 20s. My doctor. I had a bad car accident at 27, and prior to that accident, I was planning on going back to finish my college degree in performance arts, and that's a whole other story, but it derailed it. But I wanted to dance again at some level, even if it couldn't be professionally, and wanted to walk again without looking like a 90-year-old woman. So my mom I said, I need a body worker. My mom was great. I like, tell her what she needs. She's that's where I get it from. Mom, I need a body worker. I don't know where one exists, but I need one. Thus, my doctor, and through my evolution of his mentoring, his physical treatment, he once looked at me and just called me. He was like, look at who you've become. And I tried to give the credit to him, and he's like, no, you created yourself. You are Kim Possible. So that's the story around that.
Absolutely love it. And let me see here. The next question is, and I think this will be an interesting one for you. When did you first notice what color hair you had?
When I went to, this is my earliest recollection, that I realized I was different, is when I went to third grade, and I went to an all-Irish Catholic school.
Yeah.
And the only and I had blue black I had like blue black, thick hair. I noticed I was different. The only person who had color anything remotely was Susan Paracchio, and she was Italian.
Yes.
So all the blonde on blue eyes, I kind of said, like, oh, I'm different.
It's crazy. And what is your favorite thing to do to intentionally waste time?
To waste time. I have a game on my phone. I call it like freeing my mind, but wasting time is another way to say it too.
Yeah. Well, there is a cause and effect relationship between doing things that require motor skills and eye movement and keeping your brain busy and continually putting more wrinkles in it.
Yeah.
And at my age, I need a lot of that. I need as many wrinkles.
Yes. Yes. I concur. So, recovering from a concussion, like playing concentration games or matchy matchy, thinks people. I'm like, hey, I'm working here. I'm working here. You think I'm wasting my time, but I'm working it.
100%. And I'll tell you what, it's good for kids of all ages, and you never outgrow it. It's a
There
fantastic.
you go.
So let's get personal here. What kind of game is it?
It's that I have a couple games. I had fished. If anybody knows Fishdom, the little fishy thing with it, right? That one I actually love. Angela's like, you're like, oh, I have to feed the fish. He goes, you know, it's a game, right? I'm like, I know, but I feel bad. But it's a game. It's like 2, 6, 3, 4. It basically takes blocks of numbers and you match them. Like see how long of a like if you can find a whole run of them and it goes exceptional, glorious, like magnificent, and you
Yeah.
get points. But then you keep on going up. They eliminate blocks, they put blocks in, but it's all about how, and it's great for me because like my hand-eye coordination got affected from a 2018 accident. So it makes me really focus and see how many things, it works my peripheral vision because it's like I'm so hyper focused, I don't see. And like I just love getting a little like a long tail. Like if I can find it all the way around, I'm like, yes. So
If we could all be that lucky to waste our time getting better, it's a
that's how
fantastic
I
thing.
look at it. It makes me I wanted to do a post about it, but I'm like, how my little like games on my, wasting time is helping me to think how to apply that confidence or that patience like to my business. Like I don't freak out that I had to start over 50 times with my game, but one thing doesn't go right, like our technology, and I'm like, my brain is going, I'm like, well, think of it like the game.
Yeah.
No big deal. So
Yeah, take
you
take
like
note.
that? You like that defense of wasting time and playing on a game? There you
I
go.
think you did the best of probably anybody that's been on so far, and that's almost 30 people. So, long story short, when you are absolutely correct. There's wisdom in paying attention to what you do, in play when things don't work out. That's a wonderful place with a great safety net. So when you're in life and you're not quite sure what to do, how did I handle that? And
Yeah.
yeah, back in the 90s, I used to have this thing. I was hyper and A-type all the way, to the max. And every once in a while, I'd just go, I'm too much. And I would pretend I was playing Super Mario and just press the reset button, and that's it. All over, done.
I
Nobody
love
can.
it. Yeah, I think I'll go with you. I'll go to the mat with you, Bill. I'll defend it. I'll be your Robin to your Batman.
Well, we're not just a couple of folks at a bar. We quite frankly, we've been around the block a little bit. We help people a lot, and so if we say that there's a therapeutic value in games, by golly, there is. Okay,
There is. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
100%, and we actually don't sell life insurance or home
Yeah,
insurance.
no, no.
So, what's your favorite movie to watch alone?
Yeah, that's a good one. To watch alone, I have to say it's probably one of some of the rom-coms because Angelus will never sit through them the second time.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, the one that comes to me just off the top of my head is You've Got Mail.
Yep, my wife is there. She Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally.
Yes, all good, all good. And I'm gonna just like I think that came to my mind because at the time when God wants to talk with me, when the universe wants my attention, or I'm like really lost, I'm going, what is it all about, Alfie? The universe has a way of putting a movie in front of me. It could be the Avengers, it could be the Godfather, it could be any, it's like, and it could be a movie that I've never even seen before. But I always know I think the last one was like Doctor Strange. I'm like, what the frick am I? And I'm watching it alone, which I'm like, I don't even like, this is Angelus's genre.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's on. And then like something the character said, I was like, oh, Yeah, okay, you're talking to me. So I can remember a distinct time in my life when You Got Mail came out. It really was like the universe telling me it's gonna be okay. But, more recent, people who don't know me, my father passed away a year and a half ago, and basically I adopted my fur brother. We had to drove him up from Connecticut because his breed can't fly.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he could be okay my cat would be okay, about to be 19 years old with a dog, and we live in a tiny condo right now. So his forever home that I chose for him was my cousin, who's got a dog, who's got kids, a gorgeous fenced-in yard. They go camping, they go on trips with the dog. I'm thinking he's gonna have his best life. Lasted 2 days. He was looking everywhere for me. I'm sitting home crying, and my cousin, and he's like, "Kim, I think you got a dog." And I'm like, "Well," like, he goes, every time the kids yell mom, he comes out saying, "Where is she? Where is she?" Meaning me.
Yes.
So she goes, I'm bringing you your dog." So when she came here and he jumped out of the car, we look like Tom Hay, like, two little people in a rom-com, like, like, because we said goodbye to each other, like, "I love you, I'll see you," like, whatever, and then it's like, you had to see us, like, it should have been in slow motion, like, both of us running towards each other. Um, yeah, so that reminded me of exactly You've Got Mail. If any of you guys wanna know about the movie, but the last scene of, the scene before the last scene, they say goodbye only to realize they're meeting each other.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Can't make
by
it
the
up. Bill, you know me, I can't make it up. I should be a comedy show or a one-woman show, I know. My life is like a sitcom.
you for a long time. And by the way, I'm so sorry for your loss. As you know, I lost my dad.
Thank you. Yeah, yes, I know. Sweet, yes.
And one of the neat things about you and me, and is that uh, and you and I, we've been friends for a while, and we've kind of been there to support each other at different times, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I really do.
I do too. I
Yeah.
do too, especially yeah, I do too.
So with that in mind, knowing all of the superpowers that I think you have, if
Okay,
you
this will be
were
interesting.
if you were to have an action figure made of you, what superpower would it have, and what colors would its uniform be?
Well, you know it would be purple. I'm the success genie. Purple is my thing. Purple is my color. Um, my superpower really is solving problems or believing. My superpower is believing. Um, but I think the superpower that I would love to have is like teleporting. I'd love to do that.
Say some more,
Teleport
please.
things, teleport myself, teleport each other, you know?
Well, I get that, and you know I'm in the IT business, right? So
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out how to send myself as an attachment to an email for like 5 years, you know? I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
it.
Well, yeah. Well, I was just Angelus watches all the science channels and all this stuff, but they talked about how people or the technology exists where you can download, they call it consciousness. I don't believe that, but all your memories, all your thoughts, all your whatever they consider you.
Right.
And then I'm like, huh, okay, like, but you never know. Like, just pop it in, be like,
Well, if
"Here you
if
go."
he's talking about the one that I'm aware of, Elon Musk is behind it, and when it becomes okay to do stuff like that, we will probably get our consciousness downloaded into a chip.
Okay. I don't know. You and Angelus would have much more like talking to me is like, but I was watching it on TV and I don't know what it was, but they're talking about that, yes. And I don't, and we had a conversation about, he's like, Kim, you can't, consciousness is not this, it's like this. I'm like, well, but basically it's downloading all your memories, all
Right.
your whatever, like the whatever. So I was like, okay, we'll see.
Well, this is your interview, so
Yeah.
we'll get back on your topic, and now you've got a purple uniform and you're teleporting stuff all over the universe. Now, what does that do? What's it do for you? What's it do for people? What's it do for the world?
Solves problems. Um, you know me, I'm all about relationships. So like say that let's say our dads, right? There's a solution that's on the other end of the world, but they're too fragile to fly. It's
Yeah.
okay, Dad. It's like, we'll take him, you can take us our we'll teleport him. It's easy. You'll like it. No standing in line. No being, no sitting down for hours. We'll be home in time to watch the football game. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm kinda with you. I don't mind driving, I don't mind flying, it's all the waiting around, you know? So, yeah, alright, so I like that. You're gonna give people a lot of their lives back that would be spent doing things that are not being in relationship with other people and with their loved ones.
There you go.
Perfect. So, this one I'm curious about. What did you wanna grow up to be, Kim, when you were 5 years old?
Well, that's easy, Bill. I wanted to dance. I wanted to be a dancer.
That's true. Now, you mentioned that before. How many years did you take dance?
I was professionally trained to dance from the time that I was 3 to the time that I was 13. That's a whole story and a half why I stopped doing that, and then went back at 17, and, then back at 19. So, in and out, different, making a priority, but, all through my life, I wanted to do it. It took a back seat when I was 9 to become wanting to become a doctor, but that was a life event. The loss of my great grandmother created that thought, but who I was always a dancer. And I was trained through 3 to 13 to go as if I was going to professionally dance.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was always about dancing or being part of the dancing world, and um, yeah, so there was like no doubt I was gonna become the dancing doctor. Like, even when I started to create my mindset, they gotta become a doctor because we can't let anyone happen to what happened to grandma. Yeah, I was gonna somehow become a doctor while dancing, or like dance my way through medical school. I don't know, but yeah, it was always about dance.
It's interesting. Now, did you actually focus on a particular style of dance, or were you pretty much a generalist and you did a little bit of everything?
Traditional ballet, tap, jazz. We did jazz. My dream was to do ballet. And I was an acrobat too, and I love that. Actually, I kept more to the acrobat towards the end of my ability to do what I did. I was still doing acrobatics at 27. But my dream was to be a ballerina. So, and my teacher was a prima ballerina and was part of the American Ballet Company. So her school really took on kids who had potential to do that.
Yes.
But puberty had different plans for me. And that's a whole freaking story about like whatever. But my generation was the generation of Balanchine, who believed ballerinas should be athletic, like this with no boobs. And puberty took that a different direction. Um, Interesting with mindset, that set my step away from dancing, because I thought, if I can't, my mind decided somehow, because I didn't have Balanchine's physique that he wanted, I couldn't dance, and I never really shared that with anybody. But I look back and I'm like, even if I was right, because I had the ability, I was a very good dancer.
Yep.
I had that thing. I look back now and I'm like, you know what? If you had said something to Miss Virginia or my mother, there were so many other genres of dance that I could have done, and she would have groomed me for, or she would have opened the doors for. And I didn't at that time. My little brain just latched on to, well, I have boobs, and so I'm out. And that whole psychology of that. But yeah, no, I loved tap. I love bell, but I lived for my toe shoes, and I think they're over here. These are my last pair of toe shoes. I
Good
have
for
them all
you.
these years. Yeah. Um, I
That
lived.
means
Only dancers would get this, but we lived for being able to smush our feet into little paper mache boxes.
and live with intense pain till you don't experience it anymore, right?
Yeah, well, it just, we didn't care. I mean, it was intense pain, and thank God Miss Virginia allowed us to use lamb's wool. She always gave us like, no, like your calluses will be your, but I just remember just living for the day that
Yeah.
I could do that. And I was actually delayed 6 months because my ankles didn't develop, on right. I was beside myself. And Miss Virginia had to like just Kimmy, she's like, I'm not saying, she was, if I didn't believe you could dance, I'd let you go, but you go on them too early. And I think that, yeah, and then I think I rebelled because I wore the platform shoes back in the day. I walked into like the studio with that, and she's like, "What are those?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not toe shoes." She's like, "Oh," she gave them to my mother. She goes, "Take them back." She's like, "The kid wants to go on toe shoes, and she's on stilts." Like what? So yeah, no, but there was something just magical about being, on my toes in pain and just to be able to do that. I don't know what it could be just a dancer's thing, but
So, question for you: with all this that you're talking about, was this still in New York?
no, this was in Connecticut. I was a Bronx baby,
Yep.
and my mother was born in Connecticut. So my mother did the dutiful wife thing, right? The Armenians, you go where because in the Armenian culture, you actually go live with the mother-in-law,
Yes.
right? The family, the mother. But they lived in the Bronx. My grandparents lived in Washington Heights, so he grew up in that area. Then they moved to Yonkers. Then they moved to Stamford, where my sister was born.
Yep.
And when I was I was 3.5, whatever. But the story was, we used to come to my grandparents in, Fairfield, Bridgeport on the weekends. And I guess there was a time where the first time they put me on the grass, I did not grow up with grass. I grew up in large apartment building in asphalt.
Yeah.
And my grandfather's like, "Con, come back. She doesn't know what grass is. We gotta fix this." we gotta fix.
We're
So
stunting her growth as a human being, having her live down there in the concrete jungle.
right. Well, I did. I grew up in high rise buildings my whole life. I remember like it was yesterday. All the kids were excited hearing that we were coming to, new kids coming to the neighborhood. They swarmed our car lovingly, like they were all excited. My sister was like 3.5. She's like, comes out like, "Hey, like, how are you?" I was terrified. I didn't know what to do with all these kids. I
Yeah.
had one. I went to school. I had friends at school, and I had one girl my age who lived upstairs from me that we were best. Kim. Her name was Kim. Her dad was one of the Chamberlain brothers from the 70s rock group. So that's all I did. And like I had like older neighbors that were like my aunts and uncles. So I was always with adults. I didn't know what to do, like with a whole bunch of kids and going out to play. Like my sister acclimated fine. I was like, what do you do?
Yeah.
So I made friends at school, learned how to play outside like all the Gen X kids. But my life was dance. Like right after school, like 3 to 5 times a week, I'm in the studio dancing and had acrobatics on Saturdays. So like my life was really,
It
you
sounds like
know,
it was nose to the grindstone.
it was fun though. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like, yeah, but it was like mom, my parents, they were working class, but they always made, if you had an interest, right? I had guitar lessons, I had dance, but the one I really loved to do was like dance. So
They definitely sound Armenian to me. I gotta share something of my personal experience with my wife. We went on a cruise ship probably about 25 years ago,
yeah,
and, it was, a Azamara Quest, as I recall, and there were probably about 900 guests on it altogether.
yeah.
About 600 of them were Armenians. They were all refugees that went to all corners of the world, okay? They all had taken their ethic with them, and they all were business owners by this time. They were in their 60s and 70s, and we had it as table mates. This pair of folks from Toledo who told us all about everything, and they had
Oh,
in Toledo. I think they had a string of bakeries. I think that was the business that they went into, and they had like 5 bakeries all out of town and out in the suburbs, and so they were killing.
yeah,
And what was cool for them is that they didn't know any of the other people that were there, okay? They had never met before, but they had this kinda get together, and they had meals together in the big ballroom and stuff, And so it was so wonderful for them, to kind of tell us and clue us into their stories, and how they got out of Armenia, and that whole thing, and how they got to the United States, and learning the United States, English language, and they spoke perfectly. Okay. And they were both just beaming when they were talking about their experience here as U.S. citizens, and that I just let me put it to you this way. Since I met you, and I knew you before I went on that cruise, I think,
I think so.
afterwards, I was always looking forward to sharing this conversation with you and hearing about your own experience. So,
Yeah. Did you love how they lit up when even though they don't know each other, how they like all I were like, cuz they were like, "Oh, you're Armenian," like, "Oh," like, and how
100
they just all like became one. Isn't it amazing?
people were crying. I mean, they were crying as if they
I'm
had.
crying.
Yeah, and me too, by the way. It's very moving and very touching that people who've never met each other before can have that kindred spirit that just kind of like, we've lived our whole lives, we've done everything we can, we made a few bucks, we can afford this cruise. It's not something our parents ever could have done. And here we are,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
love it. So
I
I
love
just wanted
yeah.
to share that with you. And
I'm glad that you had see, I'm envious because I didn't my first time ever being in front of 300 Armenians wasn't until I was 13 at my first away weekend, church weekend, because we were
sure,
such a small church, and like there's like 5 or 6 of us. And
yeah,
we went to, different schools because we're like all in like Toledo, or what I found in Watertown, Mass, or like Glendale, California. They have their
right.
own like they're a city. So all the kids in the school are Armenian. All the teachers know what Armenian is. It's like not like here that people would ask like, "Where are you from?" Well, I said, "Well, my family's from now Turkey." Well, isn't that a food? And I'm like,
Oh boy.
or what, why is your grandmother putting yogurt, giving you yogurt? Like, or, why is there a blue thing like on your like in your under like your shirt, like a gym? I'm like, it's a long story, but yeah, but if you know Armenians, like, oh, of course, yes.
And the other part of it too is, Kim, is they are quick to embrace other people and invite them into the family.
Always, always room at the table for one more. Great grandma, you say the Armenian house walls stretch.
From the second day on, Kim, whenever we saw them on shipboard, all gave each other hugs. It was so great.
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you
All
for
right.
allowing me to
You're
to
thank you. You made me nostalgic. Thank you.
wasn't my, intention to make you cry, but you know what? Sometimes that's a good thing, right? So, this one I really was looking forward to asking you. What is your greatest accomplishment?
Easy, my relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, my relationships.
Well, what I know about you is you are a master, and I would say maybe a seventh degree Don black belt in terms of relationship. So I want to hear a little bit about how that goes for you, and because I know you're very intentional, and absolutely. So what do you got to say about relationship?
Well, oh God. So here's the geniisms. Relationships are our riches. Um, I don't think I'd be where I am without them.
Yep.
Um, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. We're not taking the money with us. You know what I mean? As someone, if any of your viewers know my story, or you want, like, my dramatic, and what everyone knows me for besides business coaching is the fact that, my husband and I found out we were embezzled $3.6 million on our wedding day and survived to tell the tale. Um, and that moment, knowing, and there was a moment where I understood that this wasn't a mistake, like he was saying, and there wasn't. We went into the wedding thinking we're gonna fix all of this. It's all gonna work out. It's just a mismanagement. Life happens too. Holy, like
Yeah.
this was on purpose. This is big. This is bigger than me not having money to pay the band right now. Blah blah blah. Um, if it wasn't for my existing relationships and my ability, because I had to create new ones because that whole network was tainted. And the other half didn't know what to do, how to help me, us. My ability to network new relationships
Yeah.
during that, and my ability to do that even in a bigger way when both my parents got sick 900 miles away, the past 5 years. Um, knowing that all of us, and just my personal belief that we're always one conversation away from whatever we need,
Yes.
has saved my literal sanity. It's literally saved my sanity and helped me make the decision to stay and deal with the chaos that I sometimes call my life versus making another decision. So, yeah, I can't say enough of it. And I admit it's probably my Armenian upbringing too. I'm sure that because I always say I stand on the shoulders of giants, and when I'm really having a bad day, I'm like, listen, your grandparents, your great grandparents lost everything in a very traumatic fashion. No therapy, knowing nobody, not speaking the language, came to a new country, figured it out. Look around. You can't think like really like you want to have this conversation. And I'm like to myself, I'm having conversation with myself. I'm like, yep, okay, I got you. Um, they built, and it's probably my DNA built. They built community out of right the survivors, whether it be in Toledo or Bridgeport, Connecticut, or New York. We all need relationships. They created their own family. They created their own community that created us.
Yeah.
So, um, coming from a lost generation, a generation of loss, having my own ups and downs. Yeah, having lots of money, having no money, literally no money. When you have relationships, to me, when you have relationships with yourself, with upstate, around, um, you figure it out. It might not be the way you want. It might not be sexy, but it's going to be okay.
I get it. I really do. And the postcard cards from the edge. Have you ever seen that?
No.
You got to watch it. Then
Postcards,
we'll talk.
oh, postcards from the edge. Oh, the what do you call it? No, postcards from the edge. Isn't that what's her name? Princess Leia and Shirley MacLaine?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay. Yeah.
Shirley MacLaine sings "I'm Still Here."
Yes.
That's who you are for me. I got to really come out and just say
Yeah. Well,
this, your greatest accomplishment is throw at me whatever you will, life, and I'm still here, and I'm still.
yes. You know what a funny thing my father used to, my father always had the dry wit, but he used to, I think about it now that he's not here anymore. My dad, you were right. And he used to say, I'm like a mushroom, Kim. I'm like a mushroom. The more shit you put on me, the stronger I grow.
That's great. I'm going to
So
steal that shamelessly.
yeah, yeah, I remember that. I'm like, Dad, it's true. Like, okay.
I love it. So, all right,
Okay. We
Kim Pot.
digress. You and I could go like talk forever, but let's get back to the interview.
We always do, don't we? So, who is your favorite person to listen to?
My favorite person to listen to personally is my husband. I always find wisdom in everything that he has to say, and he's funny.
Yeah,
It's funny, having him just talk about things is like I'm like you should be a one man freaking comedy show, but he's always telling you the truth. Um, so personally, is my husband. Um, one of the most profound out people for me that meant that what I considered a personal mentor that I got to meet and spend some time with, Mary Kay Ash. Mary Kay Ash was very near and dear to my heart and was like the example for me, to do what I've done in my life. So, but she always had wisdom. And as far as queen of relationships and making people feel heard and feel seen, and her ability to build community. So yeah, I would say personally, my husband, he would laugh at that because like I'm always on my phone while I'm listening to him. But and Mary Kay Ash.
Fantastic. Now, here's the hardest question.
Yeah,
Please complete this sentence. When I grow up, I'd like to.
not grow up.
All right. Always the pragmatist. You know that's possible,
Go
right?
ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Well, yeah, well, I remember making a conscious choice. Whatever I saw as growing up, I'm like, I don't want it. Like I made a conscious choice not to.
Yeah, keeping childlike wonder and just all of that stuff where, we can just like shake it all off and move on to the next thing. Maybe that's what's part of your formula for resilience. Who knows?
I just remember not refusing to give up the magic. I
Now,
understand how people I do understand through my life, and especially in the past 5 years, I understand how people lose it.
yes.
And teaching mindset and knowing neurogenics and the journey of the mind of how we develop this. I understand that, but I just always, and I was an adult before I was a child. So I was running, I was an adult before I was a kid, but there was something in me that said no, like, be practical. You have to be reasonable. No, I don't. Like, as I was like, no, I don't. Like, yes, I have to take care of myself. I'm very clear on that. Like, we don't have a lot of money. I got that. But that wasn't a reason. Like, and I guess because my, the survivors of the first generation that created us, the GI generation, my grandparents' generation, they were told no, right? If you had your dad, I know my grandfather going to college to become a physical therapist because he was an athlete all his life. His father got sick. He had to leave college to go to work for the family. My aunt never, I think, graduated high school. She ended up owning businesses, but she had to work to take care of the family. And it was always about no, you have to like do whatever. And so I was always like, well, why couldn't you do both? Why? Well, and my grandma would say, like, well, that wasn't the way back then. But she always made sure. So that's why she made sure we had everything, even if my parents could afford it or not afford it, because she couldn't. They weren't allowed. They weren't allowed. It was a different time, I guess. So I just made a conscious effort. How well I did it or not, history will judge me. But I was just like, no, I gotta keep it. We gotta keep it. So that, Bill, you know me, has been in my message to the world, like, okay, you've got more problems than peanuts. It's okay. We can still go. Look, it's all right. You're allowed. Let's go.
You can go have some fun. Those problems will be right back where you left
Yeah,
them. Don't
right,
worry
right.
about it.
Like, okay,
Nothing to
like
keep
that's not a
track of.
reason not to like go to the party.
Exactly. I love it. So, this, knowing what relationship is to you, we might be talking about the next thing, but what's the most important thing in life to you right now?
Peace of mind.
Yeah,
Peace of mind. Yeah, because every day is a gift. And if you don't have peace of mind, you cannot accept it.
I love what you're saying. Let's spend a minute on that, please.
Um, well, I'm gonna get weepy, but that's okay. Um, you and I both had a journey with our parents, like your dad, like my parents and I, my mom and I had a tumultuous, like, I'm surprised we both survived my teenage years. Not because I was a wild child, just because we both were like this. And, she just wanted, she was trying her best to fix everything and some things could not be fixed.
Sure.
My dad was the one who left a little room to be, right? And when it got to the crazy with the two crazy ladies, he'd come in. But the journey with helping my parents age in place, that time where they go, like they think they still got it, but they don't got it. And they kind of like say, I still got it, but you can have it, that moment.
Yep.
And from the time I got the call, New Year's Eve, 2017, hey, it's dad. I'm like, what's the matter, dad? Your mom's in the hospital again. I need your help. She thinks I got it. I don't got it, Kim. Like, I'm like, I got you, dad. Okay. And, helping them make I helped them age in place. They wanted to be where they were. I did everything for them, helping my mom face her mortality and do that. And then being dad's person without mom being here to like at least be the director, being so far out of my comfort zone,
Yeah.
having to make decisions that felt so beyond my pay grade. Like, Dad, what should we do? That's like, I had to make tens of thousands of dollar decisions, like what I'm doing with this money. Like, whatever you decide, it's okay. That, like that, um, and just him being so fragile, be like, and like, I'm just needing me, right? And just putting my whole life on hold to be there with him, and like, Ange figured, take care of the cat. I'll be home eventually, but I don't know when. That gift of having to deal with that got me out of my bubble about worrying about like all the day-to-day shit with my business. Who's going to say yes? Where's this money going to come from? Oh my God, I got to do my things. I got to have it be everything has to be a certain way. That just went out the freaking window. And it was like, we'll figure it out. And I remember, calling Ange, like just overwhelmed, and not because my father was wonderful to deal with, just all the situation around us. And I'm like, and I'm here I was by myself, right, with the dog in Florida. And I'm just like, it sucks. And he goes, I know, but feel it, because there'll be an end to this.
Yes.
Like, there'll be an end. And just all the anxiety, and like, I'm sure, with your dad, like just the unknown, and he, knowing that you can't fix it. And then like, just even the person, like, oh my God, like my dad's going to be going, all that stuff. I just focused on one thing. No matter what's going on, I get to have peace. And I have to say, God bless my relationships, both the ones that I formed and the ones that I had. Everyone was, I never felt so loved, so out of like control, but so supported. But when the moments that I couldn't, I realized that I wasn't accepting it, like yeah, all the shit I could accept, but the love, and I'm just like, your only job, Kim, besides take care of Dad and, safe, loved, and cared for. You don't have to like everything, but safe, loved, and cared for. You have to experience, because everyone, my bestie was like, Kim, I'm afraid you're like, I'm watching you and I'm getting nervous. Like, I don't need you have ended up in the hospital with a stroke. And I said, I'm fumbling, but it was all about, regardless of what things were being thrown at me, I had to fight to find my peace.
Yeah.
Whether it was sitting, having a meal in a restaurant with the phone off, or taking a shower and just that, whatever the time in the shower was, to just tune the world out and just be like, I'm okay. I don't have to like what's happening. Doesn't mean I'm not okay, and all of that. And even coming back into my life, right? With a dog and a cat that was like, I'm not talking to you, right? After being 3 months away. And just all the stuff that came after, I was just like, peace. I don't care, because I just, even their passings, I remember saying just to life in general, and like, what can it do to me? Like, the two things that I thought I could never live without,
Yeah.
I'm living without. So it really helped me live all the Hallmark cards we see, and like all the Plato, and all the, Eckhart Tolle, all the blah, blah, blah. It just really brought it dead center.
Yeah.
If you don't got peace, like Medea, like, yeah, I got peace, piece of steel, like, um, you don't got nothing. And it doesn't matter how much money we make, how much money we take, how much everyone loves you. And like, that I realized, like, overwhelmingly how much affinity in the world there is for me. I don't know why, but like, it just, the support was from my father and me, it just every angle. And just being like, that's it. That's what all you need. Like that, you have to be able to have peace so you can take that in. And I was like, well, I got some work to do. But that's been it. Like, and you can, and I've been very clear. Like, I don't care about anything. Like, everything else is great. I'll take it. But when I start feeling my peace slip away, I am very like, nope.
I get it. You've got hard-earned peace. You have blood, sweat, and tears, all of it. It's all there. And when you get your peace, you can't let go of it. You have to.
Mm-mm. Everyone's welcome in, but I ain't leaving it. Nope.
Nope. And I'll tell you what, there is nobody else in the world that can protect it but you.
Truer words have never been. Yep.
So I'm going to transition to the next question. And
Mhm.
this one, I'm just going to ask it. What would you like to leave in the world after your life is done?
Besides the love, well, just leaving behind. I always think, if we can leave the world a better place than we entered into it, be fine. I would say that belief. I mean, yes, my business will be a legacy business, but belief that success is your birthright, no matter where you come from, no matter what your zip code is, no matter what's happening. Um, and like, and that's been my message for almost 25 years, Bill, as the moniker 60 with being a coach. Um, if you think success is about sacrificing yourself for something or someone, or, giving away your peace, you're being seduced into what I call the stupid, which is very easy to get seduced into. Um, and if you're chasing the globe or for success, you're it's like you're leaving diamonds in your own backyard, because you were like my great grandmother used to say in Armenian and Norway, like, what are you looking for? It's everything you need is right here. And if it's not here, God will bring it to you. Stop searching for everything. She was either really wise or they just had a very different way of being in Armenia and I don't know. But yeah, like why just stop searching for what's already like what's already like everything you're looking for is right here.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the belief, it's what I know, but what I think makes people gravitate to me is my capacity to believe in things that they can't see.
sure.
So belief.
Awesome. And I know you know what a baker's dozen is, but for
Yeah.
you at home, when you go to a good bakery and you buy 12 of anything, you get a 13th one free. And here's your baker's question.
Okay.
Impossible.
All right.
What what is the thing most people misunderstand about you?
Um, I would say my tone. My tone. I've been told by my family I have a tone.
Among other things you've been told, right? But
Not what you say, Kim, it's the way you say it. It's not even the way, it's the tone in which you say it. I'm usually correct, but the tone, and my niece inherited that. And we had a funny discussion when she was 7 about that. So that if you hear that tone, it's not me trying to be fresh and it's not me trying to be right. It's me attempting to get your attention and move you over to the left. Cause like, right, being right doesn't always make you happy. Being right doesn't always make you rich. When I have that tone, I'm attempting to communicate, you need to go a little to the left to get what you want.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
but yes,
Just a
people have
little.
been triggered by my tone, whatever that people have told me, like, Kim, like, sometimes I got to just like stop and say she doesn't mean it that way.
And I guess a rule of thumb with you is if anybody ever misunderstands, they should just ask you, right? You're open to that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because I'm very direct. If I have something to say to you, I'm going to say it very directly. There'll be no, if I've got something to say, like, yeah, like if, I'm very clear. But yes, in my attempt to serve, people don't always take it that way. Yeah.
Very clear. And sadly, that is the last of our scripted questions, but I do have one more for you. Do you have any
Okay.
questions?
Yeah. Like, well, what out of all the questions, Bill, that you've created for us, what's the most important question for you? Like for you, like if you could only pick one question to add, like that you want us to know about you, which one would it be? Like which question would most represent you if people wanted to get to know you in one question?
Well, it would be the question that would allow an interview to take place as opposed to an answer. And that to me is the science of what I'm doing, is to get to know you in these questions. And I would want people to get to know me. So I could talk about accomplishment. I could talk about, probably wouldn't be the action figure or the movie to watch alone, but the most important thing and what I'd like to leave when I'm done. My other podcast is called Lighting the Candle, A World That Works. That might give you a little bit of a clue of what's important to me. I want people to realize that language is in between them and understanding what other people agree with them about. Sometimes it's just words, okay? And it's almost always words that stands between you and everything you ever dreamed of. And so,
True that. That's
you
a
know, you've
whole other conversation between you and I. We should do why, yes.
yes, ma'am. That's something that we've got in our future, bringing that access to transformation and success that most people just don't have the language to get on board for. So that's what's important to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of saying it, Bill. Yes, that we're taught to write and read. We're taught to like get a job, but no one, unless you're fortunate enough for like people like us, we've met each other, or we've had mentors or people to introduce us and teach us those tools. No one teaches us about of transformation, and that's like the reason. And I think that's interesting because like we didn't come here to pay taxes and pay mortgages and die. It's
Yeah.
not why our souls came here. But language, yeah, there's a whole I totally with language.
Yeah. Well, the final thought on that is you and I have won the universal lotto. We are just the miracle that couldn't have happened, and yet here we are. The math is so badly stacked against every single human being on the planet to even be here in the first place.
Yeah.
You and I have a unique gift and a unique thing to bring to the world from now on. If we do it really well, we can have a great time, and we can have other people have great times too.
I'm always down for that, Bill. So whatever I can do to make that happen on a glorious, grand, of course, fun scale, I'm in.
Absolutely. So I just want to say to you that I've been very excited and looking forward to this interview, and I enjoy my time with you and anyone that you think is special, including your handsome husband. And quite frankly, it's been a great time, and I want to thank you for coming here. Anything else you'd like to say in closing?
Just I appreciate you so much, and I'm honored to be invited into your world. And I look forward to having conversations about like turning the tables on you one day and asking you all these questions. But
I'm there.
all
We can
right.
we can make that happen anytime you like.
Yeah, I think that would what? I think that would be just a beautiful like because you were asking all of us and the great experiment, but I think it would be, and I'd be curious to see how like you experience it on the other side too. Like just but also having the opportunity for everyone to hear you share your wisdom, share your ahas, and share all your stuff too.
I
But
guarantee I'll have an answer for every question.
I have no doubt, Bill. I have no doubt. I just would be like to be like the little person with the fly on the wall going, yep, with the popcorn.
Yeah. Thank you. Just in closing, I just want to say to all you folks at home, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. And the other part of it is that I want to give you some homework. Will you please, when you are done here, reach out to somebody in your life or several somebodies, either by text or phone call, email, whatever, carrier pigeon, I don't care. Let them know that your world works because they're here. Let them know that it makes a difference to you to know that they're out there and that they can always call you and you'll be ready with a joke, or you'll be ready with a story, or you'll be ready with your ears and listen. So, with that said, this is Simple Questions for 100 People, and thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
You've been listening to Simple Questions for 100 People, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can find every episode at exvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.